Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. The Michigan Wolverines land a commit in the 2023 class. We said this was going to be a big-time recruiting weekend. It's already paying dividends as Brandyn Hillman, the former Notre Dame commit, is coming to Ann Arbor in the 2023 class. A lot to talk about, but before we do, again, I just want to say thank you to you guys. The support you guys have shown, especially the Michigan fans, means so much. You know we love talking Michigan football, and the support you guys have shown truly means a lot. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Hopefully we're making some more videos like this after a big-time recruiting weekend for the Michigan Wolverines. Dill, I'm going to let you open up on some early thoughts here. Brandyn Hillman, one of the best players from the state of Virginia, coming up to Ann Arbor.
I mean, probably what it is. It's a nice way to close out the 2023 cycle.
Sure is.
I think a lot of Michigan fans have been clamoring on about, oh, it wasn't good enough. Why is it bad? Is NIL bad? Is like a lot of negativity, I feel like a lot from the offseason Wolverine fans. But again, this is Brandyn Hillman's a nice get to finish it. He'll be right up there with the top recruits for the cycle. And at a position, frankly, they didn't bring in any safeties in the class. So given that that's probably where he projects to play in college, it's certainly a nice way to kind of finish it out.
Yeah, two things I want to know. One, the importance of not burning bridges in the recruitment process, because not only do you see guy, I mean, in this case, signed his NLI to go to Notre Dame, gets released from it about a week ago. Offers are flooding in. Ohio State, USC, and obviously Michigan coming in with an offer. I mean, every Power 5 team in the country wanted this dude's commitment. I had a good feeling about this, him taking the official visit to Michigan, because this recruitment had to get done quickly because he has to be enrolled and getting ready for that 2023 season. Michigan was able to have a good visit with them, land the commitment. The second thing that's exciting is this dude is just simply the best football player on the field. Like you watch his highlights from Virginia, from the state of Virginia, played quarterback because he was just the best player on the football field, was like a wildcat quarterback. Also has kind of a nice arm. I wouldn't be surprised if we get him some wildcat reps, and but also a phenomenal defensive back who is a mauler, like a very physical, honestly, kind of like an RJ Moten dude, like a little bit of a bigger frame, probably going to come into Michigan at 200 pounds, and he's a very physical tackler in the tackle box. I'm excited to see how this defense and what role he plays in this defense throughout his career at Michigan.
Yeah, and I know we were talking earlier about kind of the Jabril Peppers kind of mold what he created with the Don Brown defense, and obviously with the new transition, it's gone more to a true nickelback.
Yeah.
So I do wonder, like Michigan's had Dax Hill now and Mike Sanders still kind of on the heels of each other, who have been incredible at that spot. But you do wonder, is that kind of where a guy like a Brandyn Hillman kind of fits in, where he's a little more versatile, both can play in the box, can cover tight ends and slot receivers, and if that ends up where he's going to play, because again, that's become a very important position in this Michigan defense.
And it's an important position in college football in general. And we talk about this a lot, being able to have speed and coverage ability, as well as being able to stop the run is kind of what all that's why you're seeing the creative, like the nickelback being played more and more on defenses. You're seeing the 3-3-5. Like you want to have speed on the football field, but you also want to stop the run. I feel like a guy like Brandyn Hillman, who is so good in the tackle box, but also such a superior athlete, I think will help this Michigan team. And there's no doubt that's why that's why Michigan was high on his board, and that's probably why he committed. Michigan likes to use those defensive backs in a lot of different ways, walking you up in the box. They like blitzing him. And this is a guy that can do a lot of different things. And no doubt Jay Harbaugh and Clinkscale and Jesse Minter trying to get him in says, hey, we see you as just a phenomenal athlete. We're going to use you in a lot of different ways here.
Yeah, and Michigan's been really good with those type of guys with position changes and kind of finding where really good players fit. Like Mike Sanders still obviously started at wideout. Probably was never going to be an NFL player at the wide receiver position, but now looking at what he's doing as a nickelback, it looks certainly like there's a good shot he'll at least get a crack at the NFL. And again, you're hearing the rumblings about Amarian Walker, where he's switching from wide receiver to corner and apparently playing really good football. So again, this is the kind of guy Michigan's done pretty well with guys who maybe don't have a true position identified early, but can come in and Michigan will figure out where to play him, and so far it's worked okay.
That's I think that one of the biggest reasons why we've had so much success the last couple of years is we've gone to more putting the players in spots where they can succeed. That you watch Don Brown's defense so rigid, just like man coverage, you're gonna blitz a lot. And he was a little bit more focused on implementing his scheme that he thought worked, as opposed to, hey, we have a player who's really, really good at these couple things. Let's put him in spots where he can utilize that athletic ability with whatever he's good at. We're going more to that now. Like, we take a look at a guy like Mikey Sandstrom. You got elite short area quickness. You're a solid wide receiver, but we think you can be really good as a nickelback. You're a physical dude. You're a very good tackler in the box, and that's where we put him. And it seems like Michigan is putting more of an emphasis on identifying players and where they're going to succeed on the football field and putting them in those spots, as opposed to just plugging and playing these players kind of blindly into what they want to do with their scheme.
And at the end of the day, that's pretty much the perfect fit for a guy, it feels like Brandyn Hillman. And frankly, you look at a guy like Kendrick Bell, Ronnie Bell's little brother, he played quarterback in high school too, and a guy you just can see is a very good athlete. Obviously, he's also being under-recruited in Kendrick Bell's case, but a guy who, well, you got to hope he's going to figure something out at Michigan, and Michigan's done a good job getting guys into a spot where they can succeed. And again, if they can get what you should get out of Brandyn Hillman, given his talent, I think this should be a really good add to the class.
I think this is a fun. We'll pull up the 2023 class, and again, a 2023 kid showing you like why it's so important to not burn the bridges in the recruiting. Because not only do you see guys get released from NILs, but even if you enrolled at Notre Dame, played a year, and then decided to transfer, having those relationships still present when guys hit the portal after a year or two at their first school, it's really important. And Michigan seemingly doing a really good job of that, keeping those relationships. So if a guy does hit the portal and you were their second option coming out of high school, you have a good shot at getting them the next go around. And you're starting to see a lot more next go arounds. The other thing I want to address, and why I think this is such a big get for Michigan, is not only is he, like you noted, coming in and probably, according to 24/7 Sports, the second best recruit in this class. That safety and secondary position, specifically the safety group, it's a loaded group, but it might not be loaded for long. You look at a guy like Makari Page and Rod Moore. I think those are two guys that are NFL draft prospects after this year. And then RJ Moten, also kind of running up on eligibility and also potentially an NFL draft guy. I really like the young corner or the young safeties, a guy like Keon Sapp, a guy like Brandyn Hillman, who when RJ Moten, Makari Page, Rod Moore go off to the NFL, like we're stocking those kind of younger safety talent dudes to come in after those guys.
Exactly. Again, that's been a position that's been really, really good for Michigan for a couple of years now, really ever since Don Brown left.
And it's an important position because we love to do a lot of different things.
Well, and if you're going to beat Ohio State, you need guys to cover the Marvin Harrisons and Jeremiah Smiths, the guys who are coming in their recruiting classes in their future. So they need to have athletes, and they need to probably be on the bigger side and guys who can, again, do what Michigan needs to do to, again, that's the goal, is to beat Ohio State. Those are the guys they need, big athletic corners and big athletic safeties.
And I think, Jay Harbaugh, Steve Clinkscale, Jesse Min are doing a phenomenal job. And we're talking about a guy like Will Johnson, absolutely Ben Nails. I think he's a future top 10 draft pick. Amarian Walker, I cannot wait to watch the spring game and see how he looks at that cornerback spot. But again, a guy like Keon Sapp, who we didn't necessarily see that much due to just how good we were at the safety position with guys like Makari Page, Rod Moore, and RJ Moten. The secondary group, when you looked at when we struggled to beat Ohio State, we just did not have the athletes on the outside in the safety room to kind of compete with those elite wide receivers. And I'll tell you what, Ohio State's not going to, as long as Brian Hartline, Ryan Day's still there, like they're going to bring in top-notch wide receivers. If Michigan wants to continue having success against Ohio State, you got to match them with elite athletes in the secondary room. And it looks like Michigan is doing just that with a guy like Brandyn Hillman.
Yeah, exactly. And that's pretty much what I'd echo. It's just another piece. And just for me, it just caps out what I think in a sense was disappointing. I don't know that I necessarily feel that same way, but I like to think it just builds a little bit more momentum on the trail. And
I love it.
Goes up on high note.
This 2020, like the momentum Michigan's getting on the recruiting trail right now is special. Like it's fair to say I was a little bit concerned with like, okay, back-to-back Big Ten titles, back-to-back college football appearances, back-to-back wins against Ohio State, and we don't even have a top 15 class according to 24/7. Something we've talked about where I think Michigan's board and the guys that they're going after aren't necessarily the same guys that 24/7 Sports values. I think if you asked a guy like Jim Harbaugh or Sharon Moore, how do you think you've been recruiting? I think they'd say, we're doing a phenomenal job. We're getting the guys that we want. Are they necessarily the guys that are rated the highest according to 24/7 Sports? Maybe not. But I think Michigan is getting their guys. But in this 2024 class, I mean, it's really come together. I'm gonna wear the Michigan socks because we've landed Montrezl Walker when I had the socks on. We landed a guy like Brandyn Hillman, and I'm waiting on Jaden Davis. You're next.
You just can't take him off because like we need Jaden. I want Jaden. Like
feet are gonna be stanky for the next week, but after the amount of talent that we just had up in Ann Arbor Saturday and today, I'm leaving them on all week, and so that we get a couple more guys. If we get a few of those guys who are visiting in Ann Arbor this weekend, it would be a massive start to this 2024 class, and especially Jaden Davis. You land like your JJ McCarthy of the class. It gets a lot easier to recruit the wide receivers. It gets a lot easier to recruit the running backs and offensive linemen because those guys on the offensive side of the ball want to play for a 5-star quarterback, especially if you're a wide receiver. And quite frankly, if you were to ask me why Michigan might struggle recruiting the elite wide receivers, we haven't had a ton of good quarterback play. I mean, JJ McCarthy's been great, but before JJ McCarthy's time, like these top wide receivers coming out of high school, you look at Cade McNamara throwing the ball. Like, is that a guy that you're a John O'Corn or whoever it might be, Wilton Spate? Is that a guy that you're itching to play for? Or are you itching to play for more of a CJ Stroud or Justin Fields? I think that's why we struggled recruiting that wide receiver position. But JJ McCarthy, Jaden Davis, like those are the guys that the wide receivers want to play for. Very, very exciting next couple of weeks. Obviously, a massive recruiting weekend and a really good start to the 2024 class and a great finish to the 2023 class. Again, appreciate the Michigan fans supporting the boys. Like we love talking Michigan football. We love the support you guys are showing. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.